Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wide Open. I am your host, Ashlyn Harris, and I am so excited to be joined this week by our guest, Alyson Stoner. Welcome to the show, my love. You are an all-around entertainer, dancer, actor, singer, you name it. Much of your audience should know you by Camp Rock, Cheaper by the Dozen, and nowadays, most importantly, you advocate so much for mental health, which is near and dear to my heart, so thank you. And you have a podcast, or did, Dear Hollywood, and now your new memoir, your book launch just came out. Semi-well-adjusted despite literally everything. Alyson, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. How are you?
I am hanging in there. How about yourself?
Well, every day I wake up and I'm alive, it's a gift, especially in this political climate.
True.
I'm like, how are we getting through? You know how we're getting through? By showing up and doing exactly what we're doing now and sharing space with each other.
I was going to say that anytime I get to go on a queer podcast,
Yes.
I'm like, great, it's going to be a good day.
My fucking people.
Yeah.
It's like the best.
It's going to be a highlight,
no
no matter what else happens.
That's what I always say. I'm like, just give me more of my people so I feel safe, okay? Thank you.
It's real. It really is real. Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. You have this new book coming out that's really peeling back all the layers. Let's just say that.
Yes. So I wanted to play on the concept of being the quote unquote well-adjusted one. Because first of all, what does it mean to be well-adjusted in a dysfunctional society? Does that mean that you are adhering to the dysfunction and thriving in it? Or, like that's something we'll unpack. But it follows my, some would call it an unconventional life path of being a former kid actor, kid performer, turned mental health practitioner. And not only am I spilling, yes, all of the details from sets like Camp Rock and Cheaper by the Dozen, and unpacking the hidden impact of working so much at such a young age, but I also wanted to explore these cultural myths that a lot of us, that are embedded in society.
Yes.
And so I'm unpacking a lot. I think if people are showing up thinking it's just a child star memoir, you better buckle up and read with care, because it goes to a lot of intense places.
With that, and I think this is important, and I think you have to be in such a good place in your life to really unpack the trauma and the journey you walked as a very, very young kid. And, I've known about you for so long, and mostly from the Missy Elliott music videos.
Right,
you are an incredible performer.
Thank you.
And I know when we all started watching that and seeing that, it probably changed your life. How old were you?
I must have been around 8 or 9, and it was an overnight shift. And you won't ever be able to quantify every detail, but I do actually talk about not only the audition process, but what it was like after the video was released, and how I had this psychological shift, and suddenly my just biological development was very disrupted. My identity formation went from you're an anonymous kid on a playground to you need to be on at all times, including at the grocery store, including at school, including, at the doctor's office, because even though you're here sick and coughing, someone needs to, have you sign an autograph on the diabetes pamphlet over in the corner, and also different things like the unchecked access that people have, not only into your personal space and your private life via media, but also your literal physical body. Being touched by strangers became commonplace, right? So bye-bye stranger danger, which you're maybe taught as a kid. I learned instead to study human behavior in a way where I could tell before you even got to me, I would already know, have your hands been in your pocket, which may indicate that you're either carrying a weapon that you might maybe try to use on me. Are your hands shaking out of nerves? Are you in a certain, demographic, like an age demographic? Typically teens are a little bit more vocal. And so if you're in a public place and you don't want to start having like a mob circling you, you learn how to like do all of these, the mental gymnastics of it all.
But you're a kid.
But I'm a baby.
Like, so much.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing, and we talk about this all the time, the difference between like fame and fortune, and most people move here for that dream that happened to you so early. But what they don't understand is at what cost, because everything was stripped from you at an early age.
Right. I also personally didn't desire fame or fortune.
Mm-hmm.
I was 3 years old when I started performing. I didn't have a map of reality yet. So whatever was presented to me, however we're conditioned, whatever the norms are around us, become our reference point. And so it's, I think, very common for folks who started as performers to stay in that kind of persona for, a long period of their lives, unless you have some kind of event that, catalyzes a shift. And I've had a few, and I'm so grateful for them, because maybe I wouldn't have started deconstructing all of these influences, and maybe I wouldn't be able to have this kind of honest, easygoing conversation.
Well, what I love about what you have done is you didn't let your journey in terms of your pain take you. You've turned it into your superpower. And I think that is taking back the strength of what happened at such an early age that was so innocently stripped from you. I don't think people know the toll it takes on a young child's development. And then you're right, they just don't know. Like, you didn't know what you didn't know. You trusted the people around you. So I really want to dive into that, because when did this start? How did it start? What was this like, we're going to pick this family up and we're going to move to Hollywood?
Wild. It gets wilder and wilder as I get older.
Exactly.
Especially when my nephews become the age that I was when I was performing, globally around the world. I'm like, oh no, we have to revisit this, and we need to reprocess.
Because we normalize it.
Yes, you normalize a lot of things that could stand to be reimagined. So I'm originally from Ohio. I was in dance classes at 3 years old. By 6, I went to a convention in New York, and I didn't realize that it was a talent recruitment center. I thought it was similar to our other dance conventions. You go, you compete, maybe you win an award, but you meet other kids your age, you go home, you go back to school. Instead, I received, I think it was 16 or 17 callbacks from talent scouts who insisted that we fly to Los Angeles. I had, again, no idea that this is all a part of an ecosystem, which I now call the toddler to train wreck pipeline, where...
That is spot on.
But it is very cleverly manufactured from start to finish. So you've got children who don't know that they're, being placed on this conveyor belt of sorts. And you've got parents who maybe mean well. They just want to support their children. They want to help nurture their talent. Or maybe they have stars in their eyes. It can be a lot of different things. But you have this ecosystem of agents, managers, acting schools. So then you're on set. And of course, we can get into what that's really like. But I want to skip forward, because I think a lot of the general public or audiences at home become aware of the child star's journey at the point of their breakdown. And it usually is accompanied by some kind of rebellion, reckless behavior, mental health challenge, or maybe they're going against their brand. And that is actually a manufactured narrative, sometimes real behaviors, real struggles, yes, but the way it's framed to the public leads us as an audience to have very little empathy for these young people. Instead, we're often like, okay, go take your multi-million dollar car and mansion somewhere else. And in the book, I'm hoping to actually unpack what it really looks like from the inside out. When you're living, a life that has 80-hour work weeks, when you're on a set and you didn't realize that all of these adults shouldn't be touching your body when they're doing a lot of things that you can read about in the book. And like you said, a lot of these things are normalized, but people never see that part of it. They see a veneer. They see the glamour. That's such a small percentage of what the experience actually is.
And I relate to that so much. Yeah. It's like, you see the championships and the gold medals and you have no idea what the journey was like and what it cost and the sacrifice and the mental toll and choosing every day to get up and do it all over again. And it's madness. And you're really taught to be a machine. You're taught like, I'm providing this talent for the people and like this is my gift to the world and like I have to do it.
It's your mission, it's your purpose, it's your significance, it's your service.
I was the chosen one.
Right. Which is such an interesting thing if you pull back and study the cultural significance of the child prodigy or the child star. There are a lot of projections, on the child, like American exceptionalism, individualism in terms of like genius, you are special, you are unique. And again, I'm not saying that I actually believed that because I think I'm better than anyone. No. I'm saying I was terrified if I didn't live up to that I would be done, And so it's a lot of different psychological plays that a child is, experiencing. And then when something goes wrong, maybe you get injured on the field and you're like, wait a second, that's my livelihood. Not only my livelihood, but that's my, ticket to everything revolves around this. Your social network, your family dynamic, your professional opportunities and future, your sense of identity and purpose. And so for me, my health took a toll. And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm burned out and I'm fatigued. It was like, oh, I'm dropping loads of weight. My skin is sallow. My eyes are sunken in. I have these jitters. I have these stress seizures. What am I going to do? Do I keep going?
Pushing through, which is what we tell each other.
Right,
that we're
totally.
supposed only the strongest survive.
Right.
And it makes you push all that down and you keep performing until like at what cost?
Right.
And you did hit that breaking point.
I did.
And the bravery it took reading your story, and I would love for you to elaborate because I don't know if our audience knows exactly, but you literally were like, I need to get help. Like you had to be whole and you had to be human. And in doing so, you had to be honest and brave.
Well, when you say had to be whole and had to be human, I didn't know that I was going into treatment for those reasons yet. I thought I was going in solely to get my health on track so that I could keep performing.
Wow.
So those realizations would come later. Yeah. But I was thinking, oh, if I need longevity with my career, and there's this thing that happens when kid stars get to 17 and 18 and we go, we're either going to expire or we're going to break through and we'll have a career as adults. And so I hadn't yet had my quote unquote, breakthrough role. And so I was trying to strategically think about the fact that I was 17, my body was shutting down. By 18, I need to have some kind of what people would call a comeback, as if all of us aren't working the whole time.
Exactly.
Like we're just booking jobs that you don't see. Trust me, we're
working.
It doesn't stop. But I, decided, okay, I'll go into treatment. I'll get better. Then I'll return. My team will see that I'm ready to go, and we can find the breakthrough role, and I can keep bulldozing my way forward. And instead, what happened was I, after being on practical bed rest for multiple months, and then going through these really intense therapeutic sessions and the programming that happens at different inpatient facilities. This one in particular is for treating eating disorders. I had these wonderful professionals who provided the first stable environment I had ever had, for one, because we had a routine, and also it was the first time I wasn't working every day. So that was both terrifying and necessary for healing, because everything that had been bottled up for how many years, or what I had compartmentalized through dissociation, was now back in full view. But these wonderful humans prompted questions, prompted reflection about things far beyond just my health and well-being. And it catalyzed a much deeper shift. So when I came back to the industry, I went, uh-oh.
So that's when you clocked it was unsafe.
I can't do, I've become aware.
Yeah.
My eyes have been opened.
So you didn't feel that. Like, as you were, this childhood phenom, and you're doing all these things in entertainment and dance, there was never a part of you being like, this is just really unsafe for me, and I'm like having an out of body, like you weren't able, because you were so young. I'm interested, like, were you clocking that? Did you feel safe? Did you feel unsafe?
The concept of safety was not even a conversation. That similarly, bodily autonomy, consent, those aren't even words I had heard until my early 20s.
Wow.
So, and then there's something about, how compliance is rewarded. And it doesn't just happen with child performers. Of course, it happens with children everywhere, where the more you obey the authority figure, the more you earn their approval, please them, the more your sometimes basic survival needs will be met. And so it's like that, but at an exponentially more intense level, when you are not only perhaps a breadwinner in your family, but you also are employing multiple people, and people's, livelihoods depend on you continuing to book work. So safety was not a thought. I think also at that time, we weren't talking about things like psychological safety. We were thinking about maybe physical safety, and even that was, muddy.
Blurred
because
line.
As an athlete, when we were doing different training sessions, I'm like, okay, these 10 to 12 hour days where we're just breaking our bodies down, and then we're going to go on tour, we're going to do this every night, 3-hour concert, da-da-da. Then, in between the concerts, we have to do other jobs. Most of this, of course, unpaid labor, which we love.
Course, yeah.
But these are things I was not thinking about. So I was compliant, and obedient. I was so grateful. Everything was such a, framed as such a gift and such a special opportunity, which it is in so many ways. But there were no resources available that spoke to what the impact would be on every area of my life. And we're not just saying psychologically.
Well, that's a good point that you hit, because I think that happens so much in both of our industries. Is you're told to be grateful, and you're told very quickly that you're replaceable.
Right, yes.
Because anyone else would love to be in your shoes.
Absolutely.
And it makes you go into dark, deep places where it's survival of the fittest. The air, I always say this, the air is thin at the top, and you can't complain. You can't humanize anything, because you have to be a machine.
Can I ask you a question?
Please, I love this.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about how young athletes now, on the one hand, can experience, the special privilege of endorsements and brand deals, but there's what comes with that is this pressure to be somewhat of an influencer, somewhat of a role model, a public figure, where I think more attention sometimes is placed on that aspect of who you are than just being able to play the game. And I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on like
Wow,
protecting the well-being of the young athletes?
That's a great question. And there's two parts to this. I think just now the landscape is changing in real time due to new NIL deals, which is, as we know, name and image and likeness. For the audience, that's like a big topic right now because we used to not get paid or it would jeopardize your college eligibility. This whole new landscape is just existing in our country. And, you know, I interviewed, and it still sticks with me to this day. I interviewed Flau'jae Johnson, who's a basketball player at LSU, very, very successful. Go on, sister, makes a fuck ton of money, and she should, because she is lovely, has a great head on her shoulders, gives back to her community, is always wanting to do more for other people than just like me, which what I will say is she said something to me. She's like, I can't even go to a college party without security. And I'm like, I went to the University of North Carolina, and I just knew for every beer I drank at a bar, I had to drink 2 waters, so I was good the next day for training. Like, I loved the social aspect of college. I was the first of my family to go. I was the first to graduate, and the whole experience made me who I am today. It built character. It built resilience. I had to be good at my academics. I had to be good at I was so well-rounded.
Yeah.
And that has been taken from these kids because they're pros now.
Right.
Like, brands are paying them millions of dollars to walk and act a certain way because they are now brand ambassadors, and they are the face of Mass Mutual and all of these campaigns she's doing.
Right.
Powerade, blah, blah, blah. They have to walk such a tight line at all times.
Yeah.
What I'll say is these women are smart because they have to be. They are business women who now have been in boardrooms, both beyond the locker room. They're creating very, very good lives for themselves moving forward. And she said this, I'm not planning for the next 4 years, I'm planning for the next 40. Right. If I had that thought process at 21 years old,
right,
I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing Wide Open. But truthfully, and there's no...
So real.
It's a weird...
Also, obviously, the pay gaps and also the lack of training and preparation for transitions when you know you're in a field where there is inevitably going to be a time when you're no longer playing, and the lack of resources for young athletes on what to do next. I mean, I have some loved ones who are in the WNBA, and they're figuring it out, but it's on their own dime that they have to make these moves, because if you're not also the chosen one on the team, then those deals don't come in, and you're trying to navigate like, okay, how many side jobs am I going to need the second that my contract is up?
And that's all
which
of
is
us.
Similar for actors.
That's all of us. I mean, when that career is over, no matter how well you did until probably the last few years, like, you have to have a job right when you finish and you retire. Like, you have to have what's next. And, you know, there's this whole identity process of refinding yourself at 39 years old. It's like, who am I outside of what I do?
Right. Something you said a moment ago sparked a thought. It's probably been the last 10 to 13 years that I've been trying to reposition myself, you know, one step at a time, one micro decision every day at a time, where by now, if I choose to walk away from the industry, I have figured out other job opportunities. I've, garnered certifications in different spaces so I can teach here, and I can, earn an income here, and I can serve this community over here. But it's been 10 to 13 years of all of these daily decisions. But something that I'm thinking about right now is there are truths that I want to share about the entertainment industry. And I vividly remember the moment where I thought, if I say these things out loud, this could risk everything. So before I do that, just like, business coaches will be like, hey, before you just up and quit your job, like, how are you going to make sure your bases are covered? I started thinking, okay, I need new skills because I'm not prepared for the world outside of this bubble.
Wow.
And I'm going to need a new view of myself. I'm going to have to believe that I'm able to offer the world something else. I'm going to have to go back to school. I'm going to have to, figure out what my set of logistics looks like. But how empowering that now the worst that could happen, and it could get bad. Listen, this book, there's a lot of information in there. I am curious to see what conversations it sparks. But I feel so grateful that I am not dependent on the industry for my source of identity, for my source of income, for my source of personal worth and contribution to the world, so that if and when I'm no longer invited to the party because I spoke a little bit too much truth to power, I'm like, cool.
But that means you're in a good place.
It's
right?
so...
That has to be liberating.
It's so liberating. It's so liberating. And I wish it for everyone who feels, stuck in a particular position. And now I know that there are a lot of other factors that go into us feeling like we've got limited options or truly having limited options. So, I'm not saying... it's not a Pollyanna mentality. It's actually quite a methodical, painstaking journey to say, this is going to take a long time. No one's going to do it for me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to need to figure out how to make sure like I can pay rent if this all crumbles.
Yeah. And literally that's the thing. It's like you can't guarantee your next job in this industry.
Oh, no,
it's not, there's no such thing as like stability.
Right.
It's like you get done with the job, and before that's even done, you're already trying to find the next. It's like so hard to stay present. It's so hard to actually feel. And I know a part of this process, like you came into your own skin and your own identity of queerness. And it's interesting because like I came out really, really late in life. And I just I'm like laughing because everyone knew I was fucking gay, right?
Same, except for me though.
Yeah, same.
Did you know you were queer? I didn't even know I was queer.
I didn't have time to know.
That's the part.
I've been playing for, U.S. soccer since I was 13. It was never fucking about me.
Right.
It was about this mission of success and greatness, and Western culture tells me this at all costs. Oh my God. Yeah. I didn't know who the fuck I was.
Right.
And I'm just now in real time having to unpack it because I never allowed myself to come up for air.
And if I can add some compassion in there, the forces and systems and folks around you perhaps contributed to you not having that space either.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't just this like self-inflicted, we're born into a space that's got a lot of rules, that are governing all of our lives all the time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you talk about coming back into your body. So after rehab, a part of healing and recovery, especially with, a body-related eating disorder and mental illness, was somatic psychotherapy. And for those who aren't familiar with the term somatics, simply put, think about it as body-centered interventions or frameworks, approaches for healing. So instead of just neck-up solutions like talk therapy, now you're incorporating the nervous system. You're learning to identify where the emotion is stored in your body. Is it contributing to tension? Is there a certain location, a certain memory associated with this injury in your hip, whatever it is. Yeah. So it's, making sure that the mind-body connection is strengthened for a more holistic approach to recovery. Well, that said, I get back to Los Angeles and I start going on auditions, and then now my body is online. I'm not dissociated in the same way and disconnected. Therefore, my body is going, whoa, 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 this is not good. We don't like this. Things like, this isn't safe. Things like, I actually don't want to be here at all. Things like, this is completely incongruent with your values.
Yeah.
And now I'm wanting to listen to the cues, honor them, but how do I do that in a system that's like, nope, it would be much better off if you would just stay disconnected. So I think what's interesting is eventually, it was around the pandemic, you know, if everything is shut down and I knew I at least wouldn't be going on auditions at the time, I thought, okay, should I start applying this philosophy to potential career pathways, maybe shifts? And so I started studying the mind-body connection further, got some certifications, ended up starting a company called Movement Genius, and it has the somatic approach to stress relief and, you know, overall well-being. And so now, when I think about making decisions, they're full body yeses or full body no's. There's clarity there, right? But for a lot of us, due to so many very real factors, like you got kids and your body says, I'm tired. Okay.
Too damn bad.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it's not about saying like, I'm going to stop everything and placate to whatever the body begs for in that moment. It's more so going, oh, I now at least understand, first of all, my own operating system. And second of all, tools that can help me manage all of these experiences and know when I've hit my limit or know when I'm in a room that I don't think I belong here anymore. I don't think I want to be here anymore. I think it would be better for me to go somewhere else. Like, right, you just start having a more holistic orientation to the world. But it's a privilege to have the space, time, resources to be able to do that kind of deep healing. So, you know, I acknowledge that. And that's part of the premise for Movement Genius was how can we make these kinds of tools easy to use, you know, accessible, which means you can just pull them up straight on your phone. And they're also ultra affordable because we were like not about to be another wellness company, especially, you know, a white person, slender, like there are enough of us in the wellness space. So, you know, the majority of our therapist network and practitioner network are experts of color, experts with disabilities, experts who are chronically ill. So speaking to just all of the real experiences that don't often get centered in wellness spaces. But how can we make sure these tools can be easy to use? And that has been so transformative in my personal life, but also seeing now, like, you know, thousands and thousands of people being able to say like, hey, this actually changed the quality of my health and well-being. And I'm making different decisions because of it. And I'm seeing real improvements because of it.
And that's the thing is like, especially a lot of women, we neglect ourselves so much.
Yeah.
Because we are conditioned to serve other people.
Right.
We're givers at our core. That's what we're told at a very, very early age. And
or accessories.
Yes, exactly. And it's interesting when I was, you know, reading a few different things about your coming out process and you losing jobs and someone saying you're unsafe was the exact word.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm going to be honest, kind of fucked me up. It's just heartbreaking.
It is.
You know? And it's like living your truth is the best gift you can give yourself and this world.
Also, I know it's maybe the unpopular take, but I still want to offer the people who released me from the job some compassion in a sense that we're all swimming in this ocean of cultural myths and what I believe some of them to be harmful ideologies. And, you know, they weren't born hating me or people like me. It was learned. And yes, everyone's accountable for their decisions. So it's both and, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm holding multiple experiences at once. But I do recall thinking, I know that we have an honest and genuine connection because we've been colleagues for many months now. So it's just that something got activated, and it, the aspect of queerness for them sent their body into a state of fear, into a state of discomfort, where they felt unsafe because of beliefs that they had inherited from somewhere, someone at some point. And so my hope, of course, I don't know where they're at now, but I really hope that they've had more proximity to queerness, not at the expense of the queer person near them, but just as a way to humanize.
You're a good human,
the human
for
in front
saying that.
Well, we have to be, because I was them 8 years ago when I was in a particular congregation in a church where I thought I was loving someone by condemning them for their queerness. Wow. I don't know that I ever outwardly said that to someone so much as internally thought, okay, I'm being obedient to the divine principle of straightness, LOL. So many layers, so many things to unpack there. But, and also like this can also, there are parallels in my journey of unpacking my internalized racism, internalized sexism, internalized homophobia. Like I don't find that it's worth judging someone. I just believe that's not the totality of who they are. It is a plot point. They're located here right now, but I have to believe that there's room for a shift because I myself have undergone so many.
That's a beautiful lens to think that, like,
I mean,
it's a beautiful lens to live your life through. Because it's right. It's hard, right? Because, like, I think a lot of us in our community are angry.
Understandably.
And totally understand. Right. We have every right to be angry. I mean, every single day our community is targeted. Every day we have laws that are coming out to strip us from our,
basic dignity
and rights.
Human rights.
Yeah. And it's like, it's constantly this uphill battle that we fight, but we're told to not be angry because it's this fear-based, and the opposite of this fear-based is this compassion and love that we need to bring into the world that we're not fucking met with.
Right.
And it's hard.
Yes.
So I'm glad you said that. It's like, this is just where they're at right now.
And also make room for that anger. Please do not hear me incorrectly. Do not skip that. Yeah. Do not skip over the necessary and important emotional experience and processing the psychological impact and also the real factors of maybe your safety being at risk because of wherever you're located. Honor all of those. And whenever your process leads you into another space where there's capacity to see where perhaps the person, opposite you is also hurting, or maybe if they had more information and more time or a different upbringing, would have landed in a different place and would have been able to interact with you differently. Like it's touchy because I'm not saying everyone needs to do this or that this is the right thing to do. In my personal position, I've just found that I have to be able to humanize the person in front of me, especially if I want them someday to humanize me.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It is.
It's really super complicated.
It really is. But I like the lens of the way you view it. Because safety is a weird term in our community, right?
Right.
It is and I have boundaries because I need safety. And I want to ask you, being this childhood star who didn't have safety, is that why it was so important for you to create Movement Genius, to have these guardrails that protect childhood actors and performers, like, because you firsthand experienced what an unsafe environment looked like and you wanted to create that now on the back end?
Yes, I intentionally wanted to look at this toddler to train wreck pipeline, this industry ecosystem, and figure out solutions that could improve working conditions, living conditions, and the overall experience of working in the industry for children at every station. So I thought, okay, on set, it would be great, of course, if we had mental health coordinators, especially if the kid is portraying traumatic material. That's a conversation for, another time, but definitely need some support there and resources. But then we also need federal legislation. So I'm working with the cohort. We're advocating for policy to protect not only children in the industry, but also child influencers, which is this whole new demographic of kids. And it's actually a much wider range of kids who are affected, because nowadays a parent, a guardian, an adult, anyone, maybe the kid themselves sometimes, can just press record, post, and then sometimes that content is monetized, and
then
all the
AI
risks.
now
Yes, don't
scary.
even deep fakes. I have so many
Children
asides
and
that I
women.
could go. Yes,
Children and women.
99%.
99% children and women. AI
Yes.
is not, it's going to be, there's so much about technology is great, but that part is not.
The intimate deep fakes, 13% of teenagers have now had some kind of experience with a nude deep fake. There's on Telegram app alone, I know this is an aside, but it's interesting because there's legislation that we can actually help push forward. Telegram alone, there are at least 50 bots that create explicit photos and videos with just a few clicks, and they have 4 million monthly users. That's on Telegram alone. And there are many states where this is actually not even illegal yet to post intimate deep fakes. So there's a whole new world of risk for everyone, and in my area of specialization, children. So I, have created resources that kids can use on set. Yes, I'm working with policymakers. Yes, I'm hopefully helping reshape public perception of what it means to be a child entertainer or a high-performing child through the memoir. I just wanted to make sure that we're able to, provide safer conditions, but also increase the overall awareness for parents, guardians, young people who think they're getting into something very fun, and there's an innocence and a naivete and an ignorance. And I'm like, whoa. If you at least have more information, then you can make a decision more consciously about how you participate. I would hope that it would change the way some people participate, but even if it doesn't, at least then I'm like, okay, you all are accountable for still moving forward, putting your child into this situation.
Absolutely.
And
now that you are in this like really great space, and you've really walked through the storm to get on this side and unpacked it, because I imagine you have to write a memoir about it.
Boy, I wish it on no one, and yet I wish it on everyone. So I actually started working on this book many years ago in a lot of different forms. It wasn't always a book. It was a show, and it was a this, it was a that. But I had my outline. I had the narrative. I had what I thought was clarity until I had to write 95 to 110,000 words, not just the proposal, not just the sample chapters, but actually get every single detail down. I brought in a wonderful writing supervisor because I knew I wouldn't be able to tackle this project alone. But when she prompted me to go a little bit deeper on some of these issues, what happened was I ended up discovering documents and information about my past in professional and personal spaces that I had never seen before, that fundamentally shifted my understanding of my entire life.
Wow.
I had already written most of the book, and now suddenly I'm thinking I need to go back and connect these dots differently, and do I even believe this anymore? And it was such a visceral experience because some of the information was really hard to digest. And so this memoir, readers are going to get a very potent and charged account of, the first 25-ish years of my life. But I, from doing this project, now feel actually like I'm entering my wide open era, because I feel like I actually got the missing details, the truth. And now I feel freer, but also the lie that I had about my whole life. It's now, the bubble was popped. So now it's forced me to be wide open, and I don't know what's ahead. So this book is kind of like okay, well,
it's a vulnerable place to be in.
Yeah, here we are. And like I said, I've set myself up to have options, but this is the first time in my life where I do not have, on purpose, a clear 5-year plan. Also, with everything going on in the world, I'm like, I think I need to observe, pay attention, see what's going on, and see where it would be best for me to plug in and serve and contribute. Like, it's not just about me and what I want to do. It's like, we're in a particular time. Ooh, so many needs, so many crises. So what's ahead? I have no
fucking idea. With that, though, in this space you're in now, where do you find safety at this point in your life? It doesn't have to be a place. It could be a person. I'm just curious.
I would say now I am so grateful that I have an actual community. I was so isolated. I didn't even know what isolated meant, because I would just use the word solitude and be like, yeah, I love being alone. And I do. But also, wow, what a difference when you've got even just a few people where your entire body feels relaxed enough to open up, to be seen, heard. Oh my gosh, imagine. Like, I avoided that my whole life because I didn't know if that was going to be shared with some reporter later. So now I've got this like mutual, beautiful relationship with several friends. And that, I think, is a beautiful source of safety. And I finally left Los Angeles and found a physical home. That was kind of the last piece, which, wow, makes all the difference when you're able to, as someone who grew up in a very volatile home, and then lived in utter chaos for 20 plus years straight, what a difference it makes when you can walk into a room, your bedroom or living room, sit down and exhale and not have immediate conflict or threats of violence. I hope everyone can experience that. I know many don't.
That's very well put, and it's probably taken you a long time to get to this point.
I'm still.
All of us are a work in progress, right? It's like we don't have all the answers. We're like building the plane and flying it at the same time, and it's just, this is life, and we're constantly evolving and learning, and trying to be better. And what is your relationship now with your body?
Well, thankfully, I no longer view my body as a project to complete, as if there's like some destination, or an object to fix, ridicule, criticize. It is now a source of intelligence that I trust. When it signals to me, I try to listen. And now I'm just so grateful that of all the things my body can do and experience, maybe you'll relate as an athlete, as a performer, our bodies are our tools. It's the instrument. It's the, it's your income. It's all of it.
Everything.
So there can be a bit of, is the word, I know how to spell it and read it, but do I know how to say it out loud? Mechanization. We view our bodies as a piece of machinery. And so I was obsessed about what performance metrics I could hit. How many pirouettes can you do? How fast can you run that sprint? But now I'm grateful for all of the non-performance related things that I can do, like just open a cabinet and, write someone a letter. And so I try to think about the privilege of experiencing life in a physical vessel that has this range of sensation, feeling, experiences that we can have. And it's suddenly not something I have to fear or discipline and control. It's now like, oh, this is, there are infinite possibilities for what my body can do, can be, can feel. Some of them I would prefer not to.
I'm like waking up. Oh,
I know. Every day.
Aging really is.
It's so
hitting
real.
us hard.
And don't you wonder sometimes, you're like, how much of this is because I've just been an athlete my whole life and I probably push myself.
Yeah, I never.
We don't know the
I never checked in.
I know.
With myself.
Ever.
Never.
What is it like for you now? Are you feeling like you have a different relationship to your body now that you're not in?
I do. I'm
that kind of performance space.
It's an interesting place as you grow old. And now I'm only, I'm in my 30s, but I'm about to be 40 this year. I have a different, I don't know if it ever, I still see myself as a professional athlete.
Yes, yeah.
I'm still very disciplined on, what I eat and how much sleep I get. So I think it's a really complex thing. I never had time to look around and be like, look at the beauty in the small things.
Right.
Because if I did that, someone else was passing me by. Like, I didn't sleep. I wanted to work. I didn't cut corners. I always thought someone was chasing me and someone was working harder. And now, what I crave? Fucking peace.
Yes.
I don't have to chase it. It's not something I have to wrap my head around the complexity of it. It's just a state of being. I want to be at fucking peace.
I would love to meet you there. So wherever you go and find it.
I got you.
Text me.
But that's my journey now.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's finding peace. Just like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
We're good. We're connecting. We're sharing oxygen. We're trying to change the world. We're trying to unpack the traumas we've had to experience to chase greatness.
Right.
I'm at peace.
Ooh.
It's heavy.
It's heavy and also light.
It is.
I'm listening and realizing that was the first deep breath I've taken in a long time. Also, though, life, I think it's easy to narrativize, right? Like, humans were always meaning making and we can see the world as if it's against us, or like the whole world is against us, or we just internalize these narratives. And I think I've lately been reflecting on what residue is still needing to be maybe wiped off the windows, where I'm trying to get a clear look at things, but it's still catching on to these younger parts of myself that carry certain narratives. So that's always something I'm thinking about. And I do unpack it quite a bit in the book, especially deconstructing things in the church. That's a whole worldview. It's a whole paradigm of thought and an orientation to the world. And
that's not a chapter. That's a whole damn book.
Right. But I think that's why in my acknowledgements section, in addition to thanking human beings, I also give a shout out to neuroplasticity, because if our brains were truly fixed and absolutely stuck, that would be a sad condition. The fact that there is some source of hope in knowing our brains can learn to adapt or do something differently or try something new is kind of what keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
It's how I know, okay, yeah, we were who we were 10 years ago. We are who we are today. Hopefully 10 years from now, we're having a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Because we've given ourselves permission to, allow neuroplasticity to help us enable growth. So that's something that, I think about is just like, what are the narratives currently driving you in your life? And what can you do to at least create some distance from the narrative?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the narrative's bad, wrong, or that you need to get rid of it per se, but just create some distance so that that's not your only option to see the circumstance, through that lens. Like, give yourself some alternative narratives just as a creative exercise.
Yeah. The last question I really want to ask, what do you want your audience to take? If there's like one thing you want people to take from this book, what would it be? Because it's going to strike a nerve with so many different people based on their own journey. But just from you, what is that one thing you want everyone to take out of reading this book?
I think I want to offer one thing for the reader, listener, and one thing for myself, or the impact I'm hoping to have. For the reader or listener, to be honest, I'm hoping that this memoir is the last of its kind. Because I'm not only connecting dots across the Hollywood ecosystem and child development and media culture, but I'm presenting existing solutions that can meaningfully improve not only the industry, but also digital landscape and just hopefully how we conceive of child stardom in our culture. So my hope is that it will fundamentally alter how people experience consuming content with children, how they'll think about their own childhood and maybe the pressures they felt to emulate the person who was on camera now that they know what was really going on. Like what will that bring up for them? So I want it to be the last of its kind because I'm tired of documentaries and memoirs about the child star's rebellion, the child star's reinvention, the child star's breakdown, the child star's brilliance. Like these are all manufactured and they just keep the toddler to train wreck pipeline in place. We got to get beyond that. We're ready as a society. I believe that. We're ready to reckon with a lot of things right now. So might as well add this to the list.
I agree.
And then for myself, my hope is that it's a bit of an oxymoron. I know that I'm releasing something to the public, so it will feed into being a quote unquote public figure, at least for a period of time. But my hope is that if someone approaches me and says, "Hey, I read the book," that we can have a conversation as mutuals and that we can completely eliminate the pedestal, the halo effect of, the person in the public eye versus the person who is quote unquote normal. I just want to, can we please humanize each other?
Yes.
And I want to have a real conversation. I'm hoping that I'm not feeding the very beast, by like giving my book the publicity. Like it's, I'm like, we're kind of playing the game while trying to call out the game. So if you see me on the street and, you happen to have read the book and you listened to the book, like, please just let's be as average and ordinary as possible.
I think everyone is craving that right now, right? And I hope that it really opens people's eyes to your experience and realize we have to make a change. And we have seen far too many child stars end up in a hard place. And I think your bravery in telling your story and being so open about what you've had to go through will help other people.
I hope
And
so.
I'm really excited for people to get the opportunity.
And I would just say there are a lot of details in these chapters, so please read it with care. Take your time with this. I've had some loved ones and some strangers read through the manuscript, and it can be activating. You'll see there's a lengthy author's note at the beginning. So just take your time with it. And if a section is too activating, you can skip or come back to it when you feel more resourced. So, buckle up, take care, and go slowly.
Alyson Stoner, everyone, thank you so much for being on Wide Open. You really are a joy. I cannot believe it's the first time we've met. Your energy, like I've known you in another lifetime.
Right, I know. Well, there's a lot of overlap.
Yes, a lot. Well, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and really like pushing for change.
Likewise.
And that is purpose and that is power, and your bravery gives me a lot of strength. So thank you for being here.
It's mutual.
Everyone order this book because it's going to be important. It's going to be life-changing for a lot of people who have experienced.
Might be the end of me in my professional career. We don't know yet.
Well, thank you again for coming. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Wide Open with Ashlyn Harris.